You're listening to the House of Cards on the Big Patriot Radio Network, brought to you by F1 Mechanical. All music has been paid for by, under applicable licenses from, and is a property of Big Patriot Radio. All subjects and topics may not be the opinions or made by the show's host or producer. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. Do you know if your home's heating and cooling system is working properly, safely, and efficiently? Call F1 Mechanical in Hilton Head, Bluffton, and Beaufort, South Carolina, as well as Greater Charlotte, North Carolina, for immediate service or inspection. Don't wait weeks. Call 843-284-9156. 284-9156 today. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's F1 Mechanical, 843-284-9156.
Gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Introducing to you.
You're on House of Cards, live on Facebook and YouTube.
It's going down now.
Locked and loaded with the truth.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Once again, I'm Mike Covert, your host of Beaufort County's House of Cards. Great to have you here with us. It's another Thursday evening. Welcome, 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 one and all. Big show lined up tonight. We're glad you're with us. We appreciate each and every one of you being here this week. And as always, we're live on 2 Facebook channels tonight. We're live on YouTube and simulcasting live on BigPatriotRadio.com. You can get that anywhere you have access to the internet. You can stream it in your car, truck, your boat, your RV. We got some folks over there on Hilton Head in the RV park, Hilton Head RV, tuning in tonight. I want to say hey to them. Don't forget, we've got podcasts 5 nights a week here on Big Patriot Radio. Monday nights is the Cox Boys from the upstate up there in Pickens County. They've got New America Movement at 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock p.m. on Mondays. Wednesdays, starting again on the 11th of December, that'll be next week. Corey Allen and the all-new review, they call it, of the Overton Report is at 8 and 9 o'clock. And then on Thursdays, we have us. Saturdays, Ann Ubellis, the Radio Chickadee. She is on at 7 o'clock p.m. with Southern Sense Radio. And let's see, Sunday, our good friend Andrew Southwick, he comes on at 7 o'clock with Culture Crossroads. Culture Crossroads, 7 o'clock on Sunday. Number one song this past week while we've been off on Big Patriot Radio was 44 Special Blues by Hank Williams Jr. Largest listening audience last show was in Bluffton and in Lexington, South Carolina, up in the Columbia area. We want to send a special thank you out to all of you that send Facebook stars during our show. We really appreciate all the stars from Facebook that you send in. Those folks that have joined in the, what do they call it? The Patreon club and so forth. You see that scrolling along down there on the bottom, along with the Venmo. We deeply, deeply appreciate all of you that jump in there and help us. That helps this program and others go a long way. That is what keeps independent journalism and independent media, for that matter, strong and getting your voice out there to the masses. Man, what a show we've got coming up tonight. A lot of stuff going on. We have a special guest coming on around the 7:30 hour who is going to give her personal experiences. You know, it's one thing to sit here and listen to this pretty face week in and week out, tell you about things we've investigated and learned and talked about. But tonight we have someone who's going to give her experience of the Low Country Ferry as a Daufuskie Island resident. So you're not going to want to miss that.
All the wickedness and filth this world has to offer.
Rock music that shatters your bones. Big Patriot Radio.
That's some serious rock.
And you're responsible.
Don't forget, we want to hear from you tonight. So get on whatever, outlet you're listening on or watching, Facebook, YouTube, or whatever. If you have something to say, make a comment, question, whatever, whether it's for me or our guest or just in general or something we're going to be talking about. Be sure to put it on there, and if we can get on the air, we will certainly do that. Before we get to our our on camera live guest for tonight, yesterday we all learned the United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Everybody's heard this story. He was murdered in cold blood early Wednesday morning on the streets of New York City outside of his hotel. Obviously, this is an active investigation. Seems like it changes by the hour or two, and probably since I wrote this show, things have even changed since then. If anyone has the resources to find this suspect, this perpetrator, it is definitely the NYPD. This morning, we learned that police have released that on a couple, I guess it would be 3, live rounds and casings at the scene were the words deny, dispose, and defend on 3, one, dispose on one, deny on the other, defend on the last. This was inscribed on these rounds. Now, this has fueled online speculation regarding the motives of the shooter, with a prevalent theory emerging linking the message on the bullets to a book, which is critical of the way in which insurance companies such as United Healthcare operate. The book, written by Rutgers law professor Jay Feinman, is titled Delay, Deny, Defend: Why Insurance Companies Don't Pay Claims and What You Can Do About It. That's the name of the book. There is, of course, no information indicating the killer was even aware of this book. However, the cryptic message on the casings does link to a common criticism of the healthcare industry and their denial of insurance claims. United Healthcare is the largest health insurance conglomerate in the world, expected to have revenues hovering around $450 billion with a B, $450 billion. The company has been heavily criticized for their denial of insurance claims over time. A study by Value Penguin, which is a personal finance website that provides information and tools to help consumers make financial decisions, showed that the company denied 32% of their claims, the worst of any major company, and they're the biggest in the world. Could that cause someone to crack, to go off the deep end? Well, I guess anything could, almost could, realistically, in today's time. We don't know if that is the case here, but definitely, certainly is plausible. All the indicators kind of align that this could be the reason. Now, what I find interesting and odd is the response given by the now widow of Mr. Thompson, his wife, Paulette, I believe is her name. They called her Paulie. She told NBC News that she had heard from Brian that there were some threats. Quote, "I don't know, maybe coverage," she said. Now, I am in no way, I want to make sure this is clear, I'm in no way saying she had a hand in this. Do I think she had a hand in this? Not at all. I am not saying that. Anybody is a suspect, I guess, right now. I personally just found this to be at least strange to me. Strange of the answers, the timing. On the day of your husband is murdered, you give an oddly flippant interview. You give an interview at all. To me, that seems to be like maybe the last thing that would be on my mind or one's mind to do a TV interview. I mean, call me silly here, I suppose. I mean, Paulette Paulette is a physical therapist, and on her About Me page on the Health Partners website where she works, Paulette said she loves, quote, spending time with my two boys and taking them to all of their activities. She says, I also love boating, spending time with family and friends, playing piano, biking, and traveling, end quote. Again, call me silly, but she did not say husband. She didn't say life partner. She didn't say friend. She didn't say Brian. She didn't say anything. It just seems off to me. Now, NBC News is reporting this, quote, shortly after the tragedy, which NYPD is treating as a targeted attack. I'm right there with you. According to NBC News, his widow spoke out about the threats he had been receiving prior to the shooting. Quote, yes, there have been some threats, basically, pause, I don't know, pause, a lack of coverage. I believe she means in insurance coverage. I don't know details, she told NBC News. I just know that he said there were some people that had been threatening him, end quote. Now, NBC is reporting that was shortly after this happened. Again, I just find that odd that she made any comment. Now, much later in the day yesterday, she said, quote, we are shattered to hear about the senseless killing of our beloved Brian. This was in a written statement, and this was obtained by CNN and released by them. Brian was an incredibly loving, generous, talented man who truly lived life to the fullest and touched so many lives. Most importantly, Brian was an incredibly loving father to our two sons and will be greatly missed. Now, I mean, that is all fine. That's a perfect, I guess, perfectly written statement to the facts. However, she doesn't say, hey, gosh, he was my best friend. He was my high school sweetheart. We went to college together, which they did. None of that. It was nothing personal. I don't see the personal tone. I don't see the personal attachment. And that is strange. I'm usually a good judge of character, and I simply see something strange. I just do. I don't know. Let me. I'd love to know what you think. Hey, Lewis, welcome into the show. I'd love to hear what you think. Put it in your chat area. Send it in to us on the platform you're watching. I mean, does the wife's statements supposedly shortly after the tragedy, and then again later in the same day, does that seem strange to you? Or, I mean, is it perfectly normal? I mean, I don't know. Let me know. I'd like to hear that. Brian, his wife, and their two sons, 16 and 19, lived in Maple Grove, Minnesota, for a guy who earned, get this, $9.1 million last year. They lived modestly, if you can say that, in a $1.5 million home in a not tremendously upscale, but an upscale neighborhood. Actually, records show that they actually own two homes in this same neighborhood. Now, Brian's achievements at United Healthcare are those that could have led to a movie sometime. He started there about 20 years ago, somewhat at the bottom, if you will, coming from I believe it was an equity firm, if I remember right, working his way up the proverbial ladder to eventually the top spot. He was active in insurance and government roles with insurance and was an advocate, actually, for better insurance coverage for more Americans. Even though And we checked these numbers, even though the company that he ran obviously bilked many out of coverage. So was this a hit job? Perfectly good question. It certainly has the appearances of a targeted hit. They have photos of the suspect standing behind a car, they actually have videos of this. The suspect standing behind a car, multiple people walking by in the wee hours of the morning in New York City, in Manhattan. The victim walks by and the suspect comes out from behind a vehicle, raises his weapon, and shoots Brian in the back. In this widely seen video, there was even a bystander off to the right from the camera's view, in between, if you will, the suspect and the victim, just off to the side. The gun appears to jam. The suspect fiddled with it. He actually banged the weapon on its side, fiddles with it some more, walks toward the victim, shoots him again, and then takes off. Now, last night they reported he was shot twice, once in the back and once in the leg. Today they're saying he was shot 3 times, but I don't know where that other place was. This all has the markings of a targeted attack. And yes, he hit the victim was on the ground. He shoots him again, eventually goes in between 2 cars and takes off across the street into an alleyway. If it is a targeted attack, is it someone who was pissed off about insurance coverage? Was it his wife? Was it a disgruntled employee? Was it, who knows? Was it someone upset with something he or his company did or say? What we do know from news reports is that the suspect left the scene and, as I said, ran into an alley. When he exited the alley, the police, NYPD, first reported he got on a City bike. City, it's a brand owned by Lyft, and sped off towards Central Park. Now, Lyft, who again owns the City bike platform, has said this was not a City bike, as previously explained. Had that been one, Lyft has GPS data that could have been tracked, as well as payment data. You have to pay to get on those bikes. Police are now saying there was a cell phone that was found in the alleyway that possibly, if not confirmed as far as I know, possibly may have belonged to the suspect, as well as a bottle of water he was seen purchasing along with 2 power bars at a Starbucks just before the attack. Additionally, they said police have video of the suspect from earlier in the morning carrying what appears to be a battery for an electric bike. So the bike that he did get on, was it an electric bike? If that is a battery, what kind? They can figure out what type of bike it is. If you think about cameras there in New York City, here are some data points that you may find interesting. Amnesty International found in a report that there were over 15,280 surveillance cameras in Manhattan, Brooklyn, and the Bronx. These cameras, 15,280, were NYPD and NYCDOT, Department of Transportation for the City of New York. Then the Surveillance Technology Oversight Project, STOP, did a study and found that over 16,692, let me get that straight, internet-based neighborhood cameras throughout New York City exist. These are separate and above from the ones owned by the city police and Department of Transportation. So that is, what do we got? 31,000 some odd cameras. Wow. Since this morning, we know that this person, we know what this person looks like now. They have released a pretty rock solid photograph. It's like where he had a mask on, it's gone, and you see him perfectly. Full face recognition. And if you want to be seen, let me tell you this. If you want to be seen, New York City is still the place to make those dreams come true. And that is our opening.
Let's go!
The station that keeps it rocking 24/7.
Ladies and gentlemen,
BigPatriotRadio.com.
All right, we're going to bring on our guest here in a minute. First, I want to walk. Let's go back a second. It's a good time. It's 7:25. Let's take 30 seconds and hear a message from our advertiser and station identification. Do you know if your home's heating and cooling system is working properly, safely, and efficiently? Call F1 Mechanical in Hilton Head, Bluffton, and Beaufort, South Carolina, as well as Greater Charlotte, North Carolina, for immediate service or inspection. Don't wait weeks. Call 843-284-9156. 284-9156 today. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's F1 Mechanical, 843-284-9156. Call now, and all customers with gas furnaces will get a free combustion air test.
let's go!
The station that keeps it rocking 24/7.
Ladies and gentlemen,
BigPatriotRadio.com.
All right, that's right. BigPatriotRadio.com and the Beaufort County's House of Cards. Hey, Marge, how are you? Good to see you. Hope you guys are doing well, staying warm out there tonight. Okay, we're going to bring on our guest for tonight here in a second. First, I want to walk everyone through how ferry services, if we'll just call it that, how the ferry services work for Daufuskie Island residents and what responsibilities the county has with this. You basically have, and I don't mean any disrespect to anybody, but you basically have two types of people living on Daufuskie Island. You either have folks that live in Hague Point or you have people that live elsewhere. That's, for the most part, we're just going to call it that. You either live in Hague Point or you live on the rest of the island. Now, those that live in Hague Point, generally speaking, it is a gated community, generally speaking, very affluent community. They have their own ferry service. It's a very nice place. Don't get me wrong. Then the rest of the island, generally speaking, made up of several types of folks. A lot of Gullah folks who have lived there for centuries, or their families, natives of there. You have people who are working class, teachers, firefighters, farmers, small business owners, service people, fishermen. And there's even some, don't think it's just a blue collar only. I mean, there's also some white collar folks that live outside of Hague Point in Daufuskie proper. They just choose not to live in a gated community, but rather they just want to live somewhere special to the peace and tranquility on the only remote island of its type, in my opinion, that still exists here in South Carolina. Far be it to say that it's very few places in the country you can go that are like Daufuskie Island. Those folks, again, who live on Hague Point, and I'm not disparaging them, not at all, but they have a private ferry system. That's part of their gig. So that is what it is, and period. The rest of the island has to use either their own boat, if you have a boat, and that's how you choose to go back and forth, either to the mainland or to Hilton Head to shop or whatever. You do you, boo, as I say. And if that's what you want to do, that's fine. But if not, the county does provide public transportation. You see, Beaufort County has a responsibility to provide certain services for taxpayers, no matter where you are. Police, fire, EMS, stormwater drainage, roadways, refuse collection, education. I can keep going on and on. Everything that those of us on the mainland take advantage of, if you will, as a government service, the folks on Daufuskie Island have that right as well. Their money is as green as anybody else's. Their bills come just like mine do, and they should receive the same goods and services that the government has to provide according to the Constitution. That's where the Low Country Ferry comes in, as currently they are the vendor the county chose and put under contract. Now, what we aren't talking about today is the reported numerous contract violations or the fact that when Low Country Ferry got the contract, they didn't even have any ferries. We're not going to talk about that. That's not the point of today. That's a whole other story. And we've been down that road, and we'll probably go down that road again. Our story tonight's different. Our guest for tonight is a resident of Daufuskie Island and is I think I could say, a native South Carolinian. Please join me. Let's click over here. Please join me in welcoming Ashley Hollingsworth to the show. Hey, Ashley.
Hey, Mike, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Hear you.
Good.
Thank you so much. How are you this evening?
I'm good. Thank you for having me on.
Well, you are welcome. You are welcome. I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule. You, like everybody else, we're busy all the time. So I appreciate this. I appreciate you taking the time to share, some of your thoughts with us. And we've been talking about this on the show for months. I've been talking with you. I've been talking with other folks on Daufuskie, off Daufuskie, anybody that would listen and answer questions and provide information. And some of the struggles, people have been having with Low Country Ferry. I just to set the stage a little bit, how long have you lived on Daufuskie Island?
I bought my house in September of 2013, and I became a full-time resident in August of 2016. So right over 11 years.
Awesome. And, I know there's some people, I've read some things on, I guess it was Nextdoor or one of those things. Oh, well, you people need to, you're entitled and you should, that's what you get for living on an island. Now, Hague Point, I could almost understand that because it's private. They pay for it, but you don't live on Hague Point, right? Nope. Did I lose you? Oh, no, she's frozen. Come back. Come back, Ashley. Well, we'll wait for her to come back in. Remember, she's on Daufuskie. I know that telephone service isn't the best getting over there. Internet service, I wouldn't think would be either. It is a remote island. So we will give her the benefit and let her reconnect. If anybody has her on maybe a cell phone or something, can send her a text. Let her know she's frozen, and she can just come right back on. And there she clicked off. So I know she's going to be coming back in. We'll get her back on here. Her story is going to, I think people are going to be divided. You're going to have some folks who are amazed. You're going to have some folks who are shocked. You're going to have some folks who are extremely upset. Let me see. Here is Ashley. Hey, Ashley, I've got you on the air. Hello.
Mike, you got me on here?
I have you on the air, yes.
Okay, we are working on technical difficulties.
Okay.
Obviously.
Well,
So,
why don't we talk?
if
I think
still talk to you.
absolutely. I can hear you,
What
and
you see on the screen right now.
you're gone.
Okay, I'll be back in just a minute, but my computer said it had to restart. Don't ask why right now.
All right.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Okay, so I can answer by phone
Yeah.
until I get it back up.
That's fine. My question that I don't know how far you heard me, but I said I was talking about Hague Point. You don't live on Hague Point, right?
No, sir. I live in the historic district.
Okay. So you work on Hilton Head. You have to take the
Yes, sir.
ferry every day to work, right?
I typically took my own boat
Mhm.
to work, and I have taken the ferry. Yes, sir.
Okay. And I mean, that's a back and forth every day. You have to do that.
Yes, sir.
That's
Yes,
what
sir.
life is about. Now,
Yes, sir.
Ashley, your story, it is an interesting one. I want you to tell us, you had knee surgery a while back. So please take us through the time period after the knee surgery when you were ready to go home, when the saga began, as I call it. Take us through that.
Okay. I had knee reconstruction January 26th of this year, and I was in a brace from December 10th of the previous year until April 1st of this year, doing physical therapy 3 times a week in Bluffton and attempting to live in my home. So I was not able to go home until February the 5th for the first time that's when a WSAV news crew went with me, because when we had the meeting with Mark Lawson, the community members, we had a meeting with him in January about the change in ferry service. And I asked the question that day to Mr. Lawson, what about people that are going to have a disability or need accommodations? The question was ignored. And I could not go home due to a wheelchair would not fit through the ferry door. You cannot walk those docks. You cannot be on crutches and pull a wagon at one time, Mike. It's humanly impossible.
Yeah.
So I went home in the beginning of April to stay for the summer. And that's when I came out of the brace. And I was able to take care of being able to get on and off the boat. In the very beginning, Low Country Ferry was great when I had a TV news crew following me.
Sure.
After that, services went downhill. So
Went downhill.
that's kind of my story up through April.
Sure.
I
Explain
And then
downhill.
I found out in July.
Mhm.
I found out in July I have to have another surgery next Friday, December 13th, on the same knee.
Mhm.
And in the meantime, for 4 months, I had to rent somewhere in Hilton Head
Mhm.
to stay. So I was paying my mortgage and I was paying to rent.
And you're talking about back in February, back in that time frame,
Yes,
right?
sir.
All right.
Yes, sir. For all of January, February, and
All
March.
right. Let's hold it
I
right
was
there. Oh,
renting.
yeah.
Okay.
Hold that thought. I want to carry the story a little bit about the same time and even before that. Several months ago on one of my shows, we told the story of an elderly lady, and I apologize for not remembering her name.
I know her very well.
Yeah, she was in Savannah, and tell me, I think you had her son on, if I remember right. And
We did talk to her son. Yes, sir.
okay, the story was she was stuck in Savannah because her wheelchair was too big to get down the dock, and in between the opening, I guess you call it, of the either the starboard or whatever side of the boat, she couldn't get on it.
Correct. And so a wheelchair does not fit through if you're on the Manatee 2. It does not fit through the door on port or starboard side, each side of the boat, and that's the way you board. So I was on a walker and I managed to get, but crutches also do not work on that boat because there is a lip, or what I would call a ledge, going into every door that you can sit inside for. A wheelchair, if you're in a wheelchair, you're going to sit outside. And
Even if it's
not
raining, or
feasible, even if you can get on the boat. Some people have collapsible wheelchairs, and if you can manage to stand up, hold yourself up, and then hobble across the boarding ramp,
Mhm.
then collapse and sit back in your wheelchair, you're still going to sit outside, and that's a chilly ride.
what if it's raining?
You're still going to sit outside. All right, Mike, I think I have you back. I'm gonna click Enter Studio.
Okay, let me see if I can get you back on here. Hold on 1 second.
Got it?
There we go.
Okay.
There we
So
go. Yeah. Hold on
and the best way
1
to-
second. There we go. I'm still streaming. All right.
The best way to describe it is the width of the door to come onto the boat on the side. A wheelchair is wider than that door. If you are totally confined to a wheelchair, you're not going on that boat. If you can stand up on crutches, you can. So we do have some residents that have not been able to come home since Low Country Ferry took over. And the resident you're talking about, she was born and raised on Defasky. She is a Gullah. She has family still on Defasky. I'm only one of many that have had this problem. And you cannot board the vessel. It's humanly impossible.
So, I think the thing people need to understand with this, so now we have, there is such a thing called the Americans for Disabilities Act.
Correct.
The people who are disabled or who have a disability cannot be treated any differently than anyone else.
Correct. That's the
So-
federal law.
That's a federal law. And what you're telling me is hey, I had to rent a place on Hilton
did.
Head while I recovered.
Yes, sir.
And also, the lady, the elderly lady that we talked about, she can't come home because she's in a wheelchair.
She has gotten to come home twice this summer by another boat, another ferry service, but she has been home twice since January.
If that's not bad enough, Ashley, aren't you scheduled to have another leg surgery in about a week?
I am. I go back to surgery December 13th, and I am back in the same situation I was in at the beginning of this year. Same knee, same surgeon, same hospital, for a different part of the knee. But so I'm in the same situation, and I've had to rent a place again because I cannot get to physical therapy. I will be back in a leg brace and back in a wheelchair for a period of time. Hopefully not as long this time, but it's still a period of time I cannot live at home.
What have you been forced to do? Because, and take as long as you need for this, what have you been forced to do? I mean, not everybody can, make a mortgage payment and a car payment and a boat payment and rent a place. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying not a lot of people can make a mortgage payment and go rent a place.
I will tell you about the grace of God and family. The first time I was fortunate enough that I had help to be able to rent somewhere because it was an emergency. I have 2 children that were raised on Defusky. We all had to move. And I had great friends. I owned a boat, and they helped get me back and forth while I could to pack our stuff in my boat. Since then, I have sold my boat because I can't afford to rent and pay a mortgage. And I've also put my house up for sale. It went up for sale on November 7th.
You have to sell your house because you have to have a surgery on your knee, but you can't get home. So Ashley and her
Not afterwards.
I don't know if there's anything anybody can say that's not the county or Low Country Ferry.
I'm sorry, Blake.
No, please. I said this before you came on that, people are going to hear this and they're either going to be amazed, they're going to be or shocked or pissed or mad or so upset that, you are a professional. You have 2 children, live on a island that most people just dream about, peace and tranquility. When I hear those 2 words, I think of Defusky because it's peaceful. It's tranquil.
It really is.
But because you're going to have surgery, you can't go there and you have to sell your house.
I had a choice of no surgery or don't rent, or I can't afford. There's no way anyone can, for twice in 1 year. I was fortunate the first time.
Yeah.
But I'm not, I can't rely on anybody else. And the biggest issue is this is not getting better. It's getting worse. Mm-hmm. And I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
Freddie Grant Jr. has to have surgery on his knee coming up again. He's going to have to stay in Hilton Head afterwards.
And he is a native Gullah as well.
He is, and he has spoken before Beaufort County on crutches. And they don't get the seriousness of what they're doing to people's lives. Not just, and they're not following the law.
So it boils down, and you're right, they're not following the law. And there are lawsuits out there, federal ADA lawsuits that I understand, that I don't know whom it is that has filed those, but they're out there. But that doesn't do you an ounce of good, because you're faced with surgery, and you're also faced with, you got to sell your house. Now, just for a disclaimer, you're not coming on here as a GoFundMe page.
No, not at all. Not at all. And in fact, that's the exact opposite. And I was going to make that very, very, very clear. I made this heartbreaking decision back in the summer when I found out that I had to have surgery again, that it was worth doing this, taking this option, because I really didn't have a choice. But at the same time, I'm not asking for any type of help. I'm not asking for any assistance. My decision is made. It is final. And my children have accepted it. And we're going to pray that something works out.
So for the folks that are out there, maybe if you just tuned in, I'm going to get this story straight, make sure everybody understands. You have to have leg surgery. The ferry cannot or will not be able to transport you home, let alone to and fro, just home, because we don't have a hospital in Daufuskie. So they cannot or will not transport you home. So because you cannot pay your mortgage and a rent payment for 3 or 4 or 5 months, God forbid if it's longer, if there's a problem, you are forced to sell your property.
I put my house on the market because I cannot live in my home and recover from my knee surgery.
And it's true. I went and looked and I saw the house, very beautiful house. I haven't seen anything on Daufuskie that's not beautiful.
Worked really hard on it.
So it's really there. Has a county government ever, that you know of, have they ever caused a taxpayer, to have to sell their property because they can't get to their home? I mean, this is not the, Jed Clampett. We're not living in that society. Has this ever happened before?
Not that I know of. And it's heartbreaking and frustrating at the same time because it's been an ongoing 10-month problem. I never thought I'd be doing this again in the same year. I thought, okay, we'll fight for the people that come after me. Now I'm one of them again. And I will not be the only one. There's a business owner that had knee surgery this summer, and without the help of her husband, there was no way she could have done what she did and gotten home. It's not safe. It's not logical. And it's not legal.
Ashley, have you had any contact? I know you mentioned Mark Lawson, county councilman for that district, in a meeting, but have you had any contact from your county council representative or the county attorney's office or even Low Country Ferry?
No. I have tried to contact Low Country Ferry. I actually started 3 months ago when I found out that I was going to have surgery again. I started sending messages directly to Neil Turner, took copies of every one of them, posted them online so that he cannot lie and he cannot deny at this point in time that he knew it was coming. No response, no communication whatsoever. And when I mentioned it to a captain and a mate, they said, well, we stop at the pierhead or we stop at the dock. They don't come up the dock. So it's not just the boat issue. This goes further than that. Many of our residents can't walk the Melrose dock anymore. It is unsafe. It is unsteady. If you look at what happened on Sapelo, we're the next ones waiting. And we already had a gentleman fall in the water, if you remember, back in January.
Yeah.
We've had somebody get stitches in the top of their head coming off the boat. All of these things are getting swept under the rug, and everybody just keeps passing us off to somebody else.
So the question was, have you had any contact by any of those parties? None.
I've not had a response. I've contacted them.
You know what's interesting about this is looking at my ticker up here. I can see who's watching, and I can tell you there are several county council members watching. There are actually a couple from Hilton Head Town Council watching, and there's even one from Bluffton Town Council. If any of them have any ounce of humanitarianism in their souls, they will have already picked up the phone and started to do something.
But this isn't a new thing. I went on the news in February. It's a battle we've been fighting and we are getting ignored.
Rusty Carringer, who I've had on the program, put a note up here a minute ago. He had said that Daufuskie Island, Hilton Head Harbor RV Resort are both collateral damage to a bigger plan and the county does not care. We've been reporting on that. And, you're right. I have to say, I believe you're right because, you can say what you want to say, and I don't mean you, I mean you as in general, but actions speak louder than words. As you're aware, and some other folks that are watching are aware, I've had conversations with the county administrator, the new administrator, over bathroom issues. We've gone back and forth and don't quite see eye to eye. To me, Ashley, and I want to hear what you have to say about this. To me, it seems like, and whomever First Mate Bob is, whoever this jackal is, seems to be playing one thing when you all get on the boat, but when the county administrator comes, all of a sudden signs are down or signs are up or doors are open or something to that effect. I mean, is this the game? And I really want to hear from Neil Turner, who I've been asking for months, a reply. Neil, is this customer service what you're doing to this lady?
What Neil Turner did in February was cater for the news. And then after that, services have always gone down. But Mike, I've been on the boat when there were 2 people and when there were 30 people. And it depends on the day and your crew, what service you get. We do have some good captains and mates. Please know that. We do have some that are on power trips and think at us, as has been put online very, very clearly, as spoiled, entitled brats in a written statement.
I've seen that
from an employee of Low Country Ferry. I'm not a spoiled brat. I promise you that. And we work very hard to just bring groceries home, to just pull a wagon, to just survive and feed animals and our families and ourselves and go to medical appointments. And some help, some don't. You never have any consistency whatsoever with your crew. And it depends on who's watching and what day Neil Turner wants to be watched.
Sad. It's beyond sad. There's
With
so
collateral damage.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many different storylines. Last time we were on the air, we talked about. I started a story about the passes, and I have expressed my my thoughts and so forth to the county administrator. And the fact remains that the pass that you all have, that
Yes,
you had to buy in January,
Yes,
is
sir.
24, is still good for another, I don't know, what is it, 27 days, 26 days.
Mine actually doesn't expire until the end of, or the beginning a year. And now if I sell my home, of course, that pass goes away. And I cannot put my home, I can't not have access to even go check on the pipes on my house. This week with pipes freezing, I was thinking, how am I going to do after surgery? I can't do anything.
One of our listeners just put up a question. And this is Rayleigh Creative Travel. Good to see you again. Thank you for coming on. Has anyone from ADA checked these boats to mark them as unsafe?
No.
I'll let you speak to the ADA. There isn't a agency. That is an act.
It falls to Beaufort County to make sure that we are ADA compliant. Just as any other restaurant or any public facility that takes any nickel from county, you must be ADA compliant. School, Walmart, it doesn't matter. If you take 10 cents and there isn't a checking agency, they have been in touch with Mr. Moore. There are lawsuits or written agreements that he is trying to keep out of court, according to what's been posted online. But everything is falling short, and now it's just too late.
Unbelievable. I don't want to go into the part of the story about the bathrooms and the passes and all that. I want to give you the courtesy of telling your story.
Thank you.
I will tell you this, and I had mentioned this, maybe doing this, doing something alongside of you about making a video. And I decided that what I'm going to do is actually probably while you're recovering. I have a colleague in this business. We are going to, and I hope Neil Turner's watching. I closed my window, but I hope they are open. Bob, whoever that jackal is, I hope he's watching, because here's what we're going to do. One of the two of us is going to get in a wheelchair and cover up with a blanket, and we're going to roll ourselves under with the camera, and we're going to try to get on the boat. And we want to see we want to record exactly what's going on. So anyway,
What I would say to you is this: definitely go at low tide, because when the dock ramps are like this at an incline, it's humanly impossible You cannot pull a wagon and get your groceries home and be in a wheelchair on crutches. And the steps onto the boat, if you were paralyzed, you fall under ADA. So we're also excluding people that may just want to come and visit. So it's not humane.
The whole incline of the dock with low tide, that brings up another story. Wasn't there supposed to be a dredge done when Turner bought that property or something along those lines? Seems like
no one tells us anything.
Gotcha.
It's all behind closed doors, and Turner and the council talk, and I would think they should be our liaison through him, but they defer us back to talk to him.
We have Rusty, and by the way, there's a lot of folks, a lot of people who admire what you're doing. They're at the Hilton Head Harbor RV Resort. I wish we had a camera on because they're ganged up over there at together today. They wanted to hear your story. Rusty comments, and I never thought about this. Where do they dump the sewage on those boats? This harbor does not have a pump system.
Correct.
I never thought about that.
I've asked that question since February because as somebody that had a lot of time on her hands, sitting at home, not at my home, but in an apartment for 4 months, I did a lot of research. No one will answer where they're dumping it because they cannot be dumping it at Pinckney Island. Mm-hmm. There's nowhere, so they have to be dumping it overnight wherever they're storing the boat. That's actually more fuel cost for them instead of being able to leave the boat at Pinckney and do what our previous ferry provider did and use holding tanks and take it in and out. This was put together so quickly and so haphazardly that no one thought about what it was going to cost people in their lives.
We've gone through on this program many times the contract, the violations, they're
endless,
bombastic, down to the point where the signator of the contract circled that he'd never been involved in any claims before, and it's an outright false statement. We proved that. But this right here, I never thought about the poop. Where does the poop go?
Well, and to bring that up about bathrooms, I know you said we're not going to touch on that, but I was on the boat on Sunday. I was on the ferry, and I did have to use the restroom. It's an hour-long ride. Mm-hmm. So I went in, and I did use the restroom, and I went to wash my hands. The sink says non-potable water. Non-potable water is not for consumption. I fully understand that. I'm not drinking it. I wanted to wash my hands. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, if I go back out and eat a potato chip with my hands I just washed, what did I just put in my mouth? So you can't wash your hands. We only got a bathroom after you and several others helped because they had the door locked on the bathroom half the summer. Yeah. So that's the only thing about the bathrooms. And I won't be able to fit in a bathroom with a wheelchair anyway.
Yeah, and that you should have a 5-foot turning radius under ADA rules.
And a handrail.
And a handrail, multiple handrails. And I would bet $1 to a donut, and I plan on finding out that their bathroom, I could barely, as big as I am, I could barely probably get into it.
I have a video of it I can send you because I did video the entire bathroom.
Unbelievable. Ashley, I and a lot of our viewers, we've got a ton of people watching it right now. We want to hear your story. We want you to stay in touch with us. We're praying for you because this is sad. I mean, again, folks are coming in and out of the different platforms. Ashley Hollingsworth on this screen has to sell her house because she can't get home to Daufuskie Island because Beaufort County and Low Country Ferry, they can't get her home. They're violating the rules and she can't go home. And more than a middle finger, they haven't done anything.
And we've asked. I'm not the first one and I'm not the only one. We have begged in front of county council. We have begged in writing. We have begged on every news channel we can get on. Nobody is doing anything. Mike, is the point.
Yeah. And sadly, I'm afraid you may be right that Daufuskie may be the next Sapelo Island. And
we've had one go in the water this year.
The blood will be on the hands of many, and those many are watching. And I pray, Ashley, that something is going to happen immediately, like the phones are ringing now kind of thing. So you don't have to, you can tell that realtor, hey, it's all good. We don't need to sell. Mama's coming home.
I have already rented because I have to be off island. There's no way I can do it.
It's just terrible.
And they won't help.
It's shameful. Bless you. And
Thank you.
I appreciate you being on here, telling your story. I do wish you and all of us here at Big Patriot Radio and the House of Cards wish you a speedy recovery.
I'll be back.
You're always welcome on this show.
Mike, thank you for your time, and thank you so much for not forgetting about us. We seem to be on the back burner. Please don't let us go.
No, you're not going anywhere.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Mike. Have a great evening.
You too.
Everything that rocks is right here. Right here.
Let's rock.
With Big Patriot Radio.
That's what I'm talking about.
You know, that's I obviously I make notes, and it's sad. It's very sad, and this is where my notes don't even come into play because beyond that, I really don't care if Low Country Ferry or any other ferry system is as honorable as it comes, or is the poster child of ferries, if there ever is such a thing. If there's a poster child of ferries, for no one to show any kind of human decency. I mean, forget about all this bullshit we talk about all the time, different political parties, and forget about that. Let's talk about human decency. For no one to show a shred, a pimple on the ass of a gnat's worth of human decency for a member of society to force her to sell her home and move, all because of a county function that is required, cannot get her home. It's preposterous. Preposterous. Every single county council member should be seething. And I don't use that word lightly. I mean, they should be seething, crawling under the bed, under the table, leaving the restaurant in embarrassment right now.
All the wickedness and filth this world has to offer.
Rock music that shatters your bones. Big Patriot Radio.
That's some serious rock.
And you're responsible.
8 o'clock here on Big Patriot Radio in Beaufort County's House of Cards. Speaking of Beaufort County, reports are coming out from the county council that after the council finance committee meeting on October 28th, hey, guess what? The hits just keep on coming. They're going to be seeking a 4.8% increase in the 2025 budget compared to the current budget. 4.8%. This comes on the heels of the county getting a very damning response from citizens, from the electorate, that they're not in any way, shape, or form ready to see the county spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, almost $1 billion, quite frankly, for pet projects, vis-a-vis, we're going to call them transportation projects, all across the county, including a concrete superstructure to and from Hilton Head Island, bigger, mind you, than any bridge in the Low Country, the Beaufort, Charleston area. Bigger. This budget bottom line increase would add approximately $7.5 million to the overall budget aimed at addressing pressing needs in, here you go, vehicle and equipment acquisition and expanding hangar capacity at the Beaufort Executive Airport, also known as Frogmore International. Let's take a look at this and get ready. I'm going to tell you now, I'm warning you, if you have even a shred, let's use that same pimple on a gnat's ass of monetary knowledge, this will probably set you off into a complete shit fit. The following information was collected from a reporter with the Beaufort Insider who did actually a very good job of reporting that meeting out. $3.3 million was requested by Fleet Services to purchase 36 new vehicles and equipment for said Fleet Services. Included in this list are 2 ambulances, bucket trucks, SUVs, passenger vans, and several other vehicles. The report from Fleet Services itemizes each new vehicle and the current county asset it's going to replace. That's their attempt to be fiscally responsible. During original budget discussions, various funding options were considered, including a leasing model presented by Enterprise. Been there and sat through those. However, after analyzing the financial implications, county staff, and dare I say, who on county staff did that? County staff recommended an outright purchase to avoid the higher long-term costs and reduce flexibility associated with leasing. Quote or comment here. Take a pause. Did they do the work that Brian Flewelling, Rip Caporal, and myself did when we were faced with this? And we said, wait a minute, instead of telling me what you want me to hear, I want you to show me what I want to hear, what the taxpayers want to hear. But I digress. Here's one of the kickers. The Finance Committee, and again, this is coming from the report from the Beaufort Insider. The Finance Committee was presented with 3 funding options and went with the staff recommendation, as they normally rubber stamp do. Whatever you want, thing we're going to do. That's typical. Staff recommendation favoring full funding from the general fund balance. We're going to go with door number 3, which is the full Monty, and take it out of the bank account. While requiring a larger upfront investment, this option is projected, according to who? I want to know who is making this projection. This is projected to be the most cost-effective over time. Folks, this is how they justify this is the whole Saul Alinsky, the end and the means, that whole thing. This is how they justify the expense of what they want. That's how this works. Hey, Carla, welcome to the show. This is how they justify it. During the discussion by the Finance Committee, the committee members asked multiple questions about the source of the funding. I'm glad you did. And ultimately why the funding was not being included in the upcoming bond or the original FY25 budget. Whoever asked that, praise you for thinking out of the box. It's a ledger sheet. It's a statement. It's a P&L statement, folks. You've got debits and you got credits. That's basic. Interim county CFO gave multiple explanations, and I'm assuming this is talking about John Robinson, self-appointed interim county CFO. I'm assuming. If I'm wrong, somebody tell me. He gave multiple explanations, but ultimately said that, and I quote, this is a direct quote, why didn't we include it, or why didn't we add it to the bond? Well, it was due to an, quote, error in funding. Excuse me? An error in funding? An error in funding? What in the history of ever does that exactly mean? Guess what? No one in the county has been able to answer that question so far, and this tax and spend Sunday Fun Day routine has gone through the one reading already. It's a Sunday Fun Day. Let's just spend more money. Now, since county council, so many of them are still watching, here is my suggestion. Since no county council member that I can find, if I'm wrong, please show me and I'll give you your props, but none that I can find in writing has had a public suggestion as of yet. This is information I'm giving to you. You didn't pay for it. It's free. I'm not charging you for it. So here we go. I made a promise when I ran for Congress, and I re-signed this promise every year ever since, even though I'm not in office. I re-signed it because I believe with my soul what I'm about to tell you. This promise says, and listen, I will not vote for any tax increase without the removal of one or more taxes of equal to or greater than value than the one being proposed. It's simple. It's super, super simple. If I have a county council, a town council, a whomever council person that will sign that will live by that will honor that, I will be in your court, because that is how you are a fiscal, responsible public servant. Period. I made a pledge and I've signed it. I won't do it. I haven't done it and won't do it. Now, do you think any of these folks offered any kind of budget cuts? I mean, it's simple. We're going to spend $7.5 million, 4.8%. Maybe there's something we can cut. I mean, for God's sakes, you've got two guys who have no political background who have been appointed to this committee in Washington, D.C., and they're already talking, because they're business people, they've already found, $2 trillion that they can cut? You don't think somebody with half of a gall and in a couple of days could go through and find $7.5 million to cut? You know, and I know, we all know they can't. It's there. I've seen it. All of you that are council peoples have seen it. You just have to be strong enough. Come on, get that upper lip, get that leather on the back of the neck up, and do it. My friends, it is simple. Look for the fat, and you cut the fat. But you have to have a set of cojones that have to be bigger than pebbles. Okay, you got to have them. That's part of the job. If you can't do it, you need to get out. You need to get out. If you don't have the gall, if you don't have the gumption to stand up and make a proposal, we need to cut this, this, and this, and this, and then absolutely we can do that if it's bona fide. If you can't do that, you're in the wrong business. Love you like a brother or love you like a sister, but it's time to go, because this game, the political game, isn't for you if you can't stand up for John and Jane America, who pay their taxes on time, and God forbid if they're late, because they're going to get thrown under the friggin' jail. You're supposed to look out for them. It's time that we have people in office that can say, no, we're not spending this money until we cut money to spend more. You represent the taxpayer. How many times have I said that? How many times have you heard Councilman Tom Reitz be on this show and say, hey, I'm here, and this is his first term. It's not like he's a seasoned politician. This is his first term. The guy's an executive in business. And he says, I'm here for the people. I'm here to do what they elected me to do. It's common sense, he tells me. Damn, Tom, you're right. That's right, Tom. How come the others don't know that? Some of the others. How come they don't get it? How come your chairman doesn't get it? He gets it. You represent the taxpayer, not the tax collector. We're tired of excessive spending. No matter if you're in Beaufort or if you're in Lubbock, Texas, or Omaha, Nebraska, or Mecklenburg, North Carolina. We're tired of excessive spending. So if you want to spend more, find something to cut. See, isn't that just what citizens do with their own budgets? If we want to go into bankruptcy one day, I guess we could just spend. You can't pay it off. You made piss poor decisions, and now you're in bankruptcy. I mean, hey, if I can't afford something, I don't get it until it can. Until I can pay for it, I don't get it, or I don't extend myself. That's stupid. We teach our kids, don't overextend yourself. Don't overextend yourself. You pay for, you pay as you go. Yes, you have to have credit as a responsible citizen. Yes, but you don't overextend yourself. That's poor. That's lack of responsibility. We see many counties, many towns, many cities act poorly with their spending. What is also funny, and the public really isn't picking up on this, of course, the county is being rather quiet about it, is the fact that all of these fleet services, all these items are already generally asked for ad nauseum throughout the year. Many of you have sat there and been through a county council meeting or a town council meeting or whatever and heard, like in the county's case, procurement director, I've sat there, Dave Thomas, he's on record hundreds of times, asking for a new dump truck, a new ambulance, a new bucket truck, a bucket truck here, a bulldozer there, a new sewer cleaner there. We get 10 new pickup trucks over there. So why all of a sudden does this same set of items come up as this? Dave Thomas in finance, again, hundreds of times have been recorded as saying, all of these fleet services types of equipment need to come from this vendor because it's a sole source contract. I knew it was bullshit then, and it's bullshit now. Sole source contract, total and utter complete bullshit. Just because it's a sole source contract doesn't mean that it's the lowest and best. How many times have I heard we need a new ambulance and they bring the EMS director, or we need a new dump truck for this and they bring the public works director? Yeah, this is what we want. This is what we got to have. We've got to have it. The other one's broke down, and it's by John Doe Trucking. They're a sole source contract, so that's the best deal. And usually 8 to 9 out of 11 council members are like, okie dokie. You said you needed it. You said it was the best deal. That's not how this works. It's baloney. You all would know it was baloney here's how the taxpayers would know. You would know it was baloney if the HSB, the Haynesworth-Sinclair-Boyd report, was given out to the public, out to the taxpayers in its original and unedited form. But it still has not seen the light of day. And yes, I said the original and unedited form. Remember, Joey, I have a copy of it. Original and unedited. Anyway, let's move to the rest of the 4.8% budget increase. It has to do with hangars over at the Beaufort Executive Airport. So $7.5 million is 100% of the 4.8 increase, right? Right. We're left with $4.3 million, and the airport on Ladies Island wants it. The second major project proposed is $4.3 million investment to expand hangar facilities at the Beaufort Executive Airport. The airport officials, they report, or their report states, it does state that the airport has been operating at 100% hangar capacity for over a decade and currently has a 68-person waiting list. The expansion aims to capture lost revenue from aircraft owners who currently store their planes in neighboring counties. Okay, awesome. They're operating at capacity, and here's the kicker, folks. They're operating at a loss. They're still losing money. They've been losing money, but they want $4.3 million so they can have more hangars. I get it. The full cost of the proposed projects is actually over $7 million, but ARPA funds and a pending grant application will leave $4.3 million paid by the county taxpayers. What do and what is it they want to do? They want to build construction of various hangar types, box hangars, T hangars for, different types of aircraft. The county claims $218,000 a year would come from rentals and or leasing. I'm not real impressed by that, but I'd like to see the financials of that either against a GO bond, general obligation, GO bond payment reflection, or a mortgage financial statement and a total prospectus. Not earth-shattering shit I'm asking for here. But hey, here's an idea that I haven't heard anyone on county council say yet. So somebody please steal this. I wish you would. How about if you have if you have a 68-person backlog, assuming you do, I don't have any reason to doubt that, but if you do, why don't you have them finance the build of the hangars and commit to a long-term leaseback program, retaining personal property taxes, since that's what you really want anyway. They coveteth the personal property taxes. It's not the rental. No, that's not the deal. It's the property taxes. Come on. What an idea. What an idea. Have them finance the build of the hangars and commit to a long-term lease back, retaining personal property taxes. You get them to finance it. It's there for long-term. You got somebody in it. You got personal property coming in. Bada boom, bada bing. Somebody on county council, you can steal that idea. It's perfectly okay. To simply put it this way, staff is saying they get $218,000 in revenue a year off of a $7 million investment. That just doesn't add up. It doesn't add up in my little brain, not in my opinion anyway, but hey, we've got a county that uses the excuse, it was an error in funding. And we have people, whether they're on county council or the general public, who are just supposed to lower their head, keep walking forward, shut up, and just deal with it.
Let's go! The station that keeps it rocking 24/7.
Ladies and gentlemen,
BigPatriotRadio.com.
All right, we're coming towards the end, rounding out of turn 4, as they say. And hey, we have a new logo. I want to show it to you. We're going to releasing it tonight. I want to show you the logo. Let me find it here. Where are you, logo? Excuse me. We're going to get this up here. It's really cool. Spent a lot of time with the folks at oh my gosh, I can't remember. I can't remember the name. I think it was like Luna or something like that. Bear with me. Just hang tight. Don't have a hissy fit. There we go. We're going to share it. There we go. That is the new logo right there. Beaufort County's House of Cards, baby. Mystery, mayhem, and manipulation. How about that? We got a gold microphone, the gold headset, got a couple of electric shocks going on, and of course, a deck of cards tumbling down. That's the new logo for us here at the House of Cards. Anyway, tell us what you think about it. Let us know in all of our social media, all over the place. Tell everybody. We want to know what you think about it. Again, we appreciate everyone being on here tonight. Thank you to Ashley Hollingsworth for coming on. Again, if you have someone that needs to see this, hear this, set them down, replay it from Facebook or from YouTube, whatever you got to do. This story, Ashley's story, has got to get out. You know, aside from all the jokes and aside from all the things that we do here, that story, that's disgusting. That's despicable. It's shameful. It's inhuman. It's not even decent. It's sick. She has to sell her house because she can't pay for rent somewhere else while she's having a surgery because she can't get home because the boat that the county provides isn't compliant. So we thank Ashley for coming on here. We really appreciate it. Thank you for everybody for watching in. For those folks you see going along the bottom of the screen, for those of you that have contributed through Venmo, you see that there, or our Patreon page. We appreciate that. Also, thank you so much. Stars on Facebook, whatever. We just appreciate everybody who has done that. We want to remind everybody, your donation is what keeps independent journalism and the cycle going. There we go. I encourage everyone to pay attention to what is going on out there across the land. Be sure you check on your family. Be sure you check on your loved ones. Be sure to check on someone you haven't seen in a while. And as always say it. We're going to see you next week. And until then, good night and watch your state.